Welcome to another edition of The Naked Truth. My name is Ramon Roan.
My name is John Singletary.
And the title of this video is The Willie Lynch Letter. First, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please subscribe to this video and to this channel. And make comments as you will. And also please visit our website at www.jfrinc. Our mission is we're all about justice. And we want to reform our justice system, as all too often minorities as well as others in this country don't get our full due process according to the Constitution. So please subscribe to this channel and also become a member of Judicial Freedom Riders for $36 a year. Again, the title of this video is The Willie Lynch Letter. We wanted to take a look at the Willie Lynch letter. Both John and myself, we like history, and not his story, but history. And so the Willie Lynch letter has always been an issue, wouldn't you say, John? It's always been a conversational piece.
Oh yeah, the Willie Lynch letter that surfaced in the 90s. There was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Ashanti who said that he actually was the one who wrote or constructed the Willie Lynch letter. Dr. Cobb and a few others had always said that, well, it's not an authentic letter from the period of the 1700s when it was supposed to have been written. Whether that is the case or not is not the point. The point is that within the Willie Lynch letter, there contains some things that as a people we need to address. They are on point, and if we take the Willie Lynch letter and in reverse we deal with the issues that it raises, then what happens is our people become stronger. You can't refute some of the things that are in the letter and how they're positioned. For instance, the letter talks about how to control blacks, and oftentimes the things that are in here we see are being used within our community. Division. This letter is about disunity, how you can take disunity and control a race of people for 300 years. And it is through our inability to communicate with each other and our inability to be able to be unified, to come together and to talk, that we oftentimes are being controlled. Divide and conquer. It's quite simple. That is something that we have to address in our community.
Whether or not the authenticity of Dr. Ashanti is correct or not, what is correct is the method. Right. That's for sure. The method of controlling the slaves, it had to be, the method is factual.
Sure.
When we're talking
fear
about
and dependent.
Exactly, and division.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we thought that this would be a good topic for us to conquer. Also, because the fact that it's still affecting us, the method is still effective today.
Absolutely. When we take a look at some of the things in the letter, for instance, they talk about cardinal principles, and one of the first things they list is fear. And of course, we talked about on the sellout video the fact that fear is used in a division to turn some of us against us. A system of implosion where you basically explode internally, where your race works against itself. That's an awful thing, and it's all about economics from the person who institutes these principles within the Willie Lynch letter. He talks about good economics and the fact that all of this is centered around good economics, money, greed.
Right. Now, because the economics still being affected for the black community today, because the economics today in the black community is poor. It is.
Sure. There's no capitalism within our communities that is totally run and owned by us. One of the things in the letter they talk about outside of the economics is the fact that they get white people to fear blacks. They basically tell them, listen, they're going to kill you in your sleep. So you can't go to sleep, you can't trust them, and that they're lazy. They will not work in their natural state. That what they do is just kind of lay around, hang around, and you basically have to use a whip. You have to drive them after making them fear for their life. It goes on to talk about how you use tactics such as tarring and feathering, burning, and splitting one by tying him to horses on faced in opposite directions, and they literally pull him apart in front of not only other men but women and children. And so it is that fear that you drive deep within them that causes the rest of them to say, hey, listen, you don't want to mess with them. And as a result, you now have control over their mind because it's a mind game.
Also, when I think about having a fear of the black man or the black, it's perpetuated by the current media, the state of the media.
Sure.
Throughout all the years, I mean, we looked all the way back to the Birth of a Nation. You look at that video, Birth of a Nation, a white man would be fearful, white woman, white man would be fearful of the black man, thinking that, hey, I want to rape your white woman and I want to create this kind of habit. And throughout the years, if you look at television and movies, when they think about the bad guy, they're thinking about somebody's going to rob you. Who do they want to pick?
One of us.
One of us. Sure enough,
right.
One of us. So it's been perpetuated throughout the years. And I'm from Malcolm X, and like I said, I'm a fan of Malcolm X and what he was talking about. But if you do not watch, be careful about what the media is portraying. They will give you as the truth. So now, if you tell a boy that he's a girl, you tell him long enough, guess what's going to happen?
You're going to believe it.
He's going to believe it. And he's going to act like it. He's going to act like it. So if you tell a man that you're a thief, you are violent, guess what's going to happen? Same thing.
Oh yeah.
The society already have already conditioned him. What I like about the letter is that on this part here, I would like to read about the cardinal principles of making a Negro, and this is regarding to the female. Therefore, if you break the female mother, she will break the offspring in its early years of development. And when the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you. I said it. It up to you, for her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. Now, when they take, and I like to look at the welfare state and how it is that we're going to take this father out of the equation and let the female raise that child.
That's by design, of course.
It's by design, sure enough, by design. And so what do we have today? Generations upon generations of men being raised without the father.
Well, you read the Monahan report.
Absolutely, I have.
Yeah,
sure
so
enough.
you know that is by design, even though now I think eventually they'll allow a male to be there
Right.
in the home, but we're talking about after years of removing him, ostracizing him from his family, and then denying him the right to be able to earn a fair living.
Right. But you're talking about generations upon generations upon generations.
Sure.
Now it doesn't take, because it's going to take that much long to correct it.
Sure.
You can't just correct this like in one or two.
Overnight.
You're talking about 42 generations of this. You can't correct it in 2 or 3 generations.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Letter also goes on to talk about the Negro marriage. Talks about resistance, bullwhipping the female. The whole point is to destroy the male and the male image. Now, when they talk about the Negro family, they talk about the mother, as you said, using her as a tool to, one, make the female independent and strong like her, and also making the male child physically strong but mentally weak. Why? Because she fears his life that the slave master is going to do the same thing he did to the one who's strong,
Right.
that they pulled apart. And so she wants him to be dependent, and that's why we still have a lot of young boys who grow up to be just that. They become grown boys, but never really fully develop into men, simply because they're not given the opportunity to have strong males within their upbringing.
Right.
And that's something that we need to correct.
Let me read this portion here on about the Negro marriage. We breed 2 nigger males and 2 nigger females, then take the nigger male away from them and keep them moving and working. Say one nigger female bears a nigger female, and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females, without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. This is going on right now.
Of course it is.
Yeah, going on right now.
Look
here, man. When I was showing you a video saw on YouTube of the men on the during catwalk walking like women, switching.
Yeah.
They switching, all right. They don't switch hit.
It's an awful thing. It talks also about controlling the tongue, making sure that they forget their mother tongue. Communication is important. That's oftentimes why the communication among the race for what's good for the race is important. When I first went to the Citadel, there was a reluctancy for African Americans to be within the same group, within the same company, within the same meeting without white supervision, because there was the fear that they were going to get together and devise some way of overthrowing the government, if you will, the powers and control, which wasn't the intent at all. You know, we were just simply trying to get a decent education. So we had to fight like heck just to get the Afro-Am Society on campus. But it is important that we communicate with each other and that we devise a system of unity and protection. Even animals have a system of protection when danger comes around. Meerkats, you know, one stands up, one makes a call. I mean, there's always somebody watching out. And that's with any animal group that is that feel that they are not at the top of the food chain. Now, we're much more than animals. And so if they can have a system of protection, then certainly we need to have a system of protection. And that is why in the previous video we talked about sellouts that we need to publicize. We need to tell who those sellouts are. And like here in the Willie Lynch letter, we have to make sure that we deny anyone the right to come in to our community and deny us the right to communicate. One of the things I like about Bounce, which is the new television station that's out, and hats off to you, you know, done by some brothers there in Atlanta. Martin Luther King III is involved in it. And I think they do have actually a couple whites who are instrumental in it in terms of backing, but primarily it's done by African Americans. Their programming, above all that I've seen, has an interest in furthering good, solid values within the black community. You don't see a lot of the derogatory stuff on the Bounce channel that you see on a lot of the other channels in terms of bringing African Americans down and putting them in a light that's going to foster disunity. So hats off to you, Bounce, for that. But certainly, back to the Willie Lynch letter, in terms of controlling the language, we need to make sure that we understand the importance of communication and that we understand the importance of continually being unified, particularly when it comes to political issues within our community, because a lot of things are driven by how politically robust your race is.
Right. Well, John, and I said this in the video I did on handicap, is that we can be different politically,
Sure.
but we can be on the same page when it talks about freedom, our constitutional rights, and in particularly racism.
White America has two major parties, Democrats and Republicans, but when we take a look at it, they are together when it comes to carrying the race that they belong to moving it forward.
Right.
Look at how many times the division in terms of what they consider healthy competition within the political elections, but yet once that was over with, how they came together as a nation in order to move forward. And so it's possible to do that.
Yeah, well, blacks, for the most part, up until the Great Society, we were actually coming together and fighting racism. We are building our own, I mean, we're thinking about, was it the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, the one in, I believe is in Greensboro, North Carolina, the Renaissance up in New York, in Harlem. All of those, yeah, Rosewood, all of those were success stories. But what happened was is that we had fallen away from even trying to replicate those type of societies.
Because of fear. Look at what happened to those. Look at what happened to Tulsa. They dropped the bomb.
Yeah.
Gap Band, I mean, brings it out clearly. They dropped the bomb. So we can't allow those types of dogmatic, mobbish tactics to continually allow us to resist or to refrain from moving our race forward.
Right.
Just think about it. Look at how America has put time, resources, and energy behind a disease called Ebola that has killed one person in America when that disease supposedly originated over in Africa. Think about if that type of energy was put into eradicating racism. It'd be gone in short order. In short order.
Yeah.
But racism, which is a much worse disease, it's killed thousands.
Thousands, right.
Not only black, but black and white. You know, a third of the 4,000 plus lynchings that happened in the United States, a third of them were white.
And they were because they were supporting
blacks.
Right.
And so think about the deaths that resulted from racism versus Ebola. Racism should be the thing that the military and everybody else puts effort and energy into stopping.
Well, when I took the oath, when I served in the military, I took an oath in 1981. It was the fight against foreign and domestic enemies, and racism is a domestic enemy.
It should be number one, like we have in this country. They'll publish the top 10 or top 20 criminals, fugitives.
Yeah.
Number one should be racism. That should be number one on the list, and there should be a campaign against it.
Well, you know, the great George Bush, W. I said that comically, you know, because I know how much you like him and stuff. I do. Anyway, the war on terror. We have a war on terrorism, but we don't have a war on racism.
Should have had a war on racism a long time ago.
A long time ago. We sure should have had a war on racism.
Because it has destroyed more people, families, lives, through lynchings, than most things in America. But yet, it's not number one on the list of fugitives when it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a long video.
This has been a long one, but it's been necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guess what?
Yeah.
Do you mind if I say that Judicial Freedom Riders, we have declared war on racism?
We have.
We have declared war.